Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Ox Talks. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Appreciate each and every one of you supporting this growing channel. I want to firstly address what happened with the markets today, stock market, cryptos, gold, silver, give you a quick snapshot of that because there were a lot of fluctuations, a lot of fear early on this morning. Things kind of leveled out at close. And I want to address the continued saga of the tariffs that have been placed or were placed over the weekend on Mexico, Canada, and China, 25%, 25%, and 10% respectively. News unfolded throughout the day today relative to there being a delay from the Trump administration on imposing the sanctions on Mexico and on Canada. I'll address the reasons why and what those two countries have pledged to do in response to U.S. agreeing to delay. No delay for China. Very interesting story I saw today on the Zero Hedge this morning, really early, and I wanted to share it with you because it's a very interesting analysis relative to some language that was contained in the actual executive order imposing the tariffs. Which I think will give you all some insight. It did me. Love to hear your comments and thoughts as to why we probably will not be expecting to see any kind of similar delay with regard to the tariffs on China. First, let's address the markets. The Dow finished down today 122 points. That's nothing. It opened up today. The Dow futures were down, I believe, almost 700 points. So huge turnaround between the open and the close of the market. S&P finished down 45. Again, the futures this morning when the market opened, I believe it was down over 100. And the NASDAQ finished down 235. Again, I think it opened up down about 400 points this morning out of the gate. So big turnaround with the markets because first we had the Mexico announcement, news on the meeting or the call that Trump had with the Mexican president. And what she has agreed to do and pledged to do is commit 10,000 of her military troops to the border to prevent and to curtail the flow of illegal substances into the United States. And most importantly, what Trump is going after is the fentanyl. And I've got a really sad story on a case I worked on a couple years ago, involving a fentanyl death of a young girl. Very, very tragic. That stuff is tearing apart this country. So I commend the administration for these efforts. And look, Mexico has so far fallen in line. The quid pro quo is they get a 30-day extension on the imposition of these tariffs. Just a couple hours ago, I also read and saw, it was released in the mainstream, that there was a call with Trudeau of Canada and Trump. And similarly, Trudeau has pledged to commit 10,000 troops to the border to prevent the flow of illegal substances into this country, into the United States, and also has agreed to appoint a fentanyl czar in Canada to interface and prevent the level of organized crime that's running rampant in that country, that's enabling a lot of these substances to make their way down into the United States. So we have, and similarly, the quid pro quo is that the Trump administration has agreed to pause the imposition of the tariffs on Canada. So look with that news unfolding throughout the day, that sent stock markets turning around. Gold still finished up $20 an ounce today. Silver finished up 31 cents an ounce. So gold is $2,800.16. Silver is $31.67. Bitcoin. Cryptos, if you're in the crypto space, guys, it got just destroyed over the weekend. I believe Bitcoin was down around $93,000, something like that. As of recording, it's up around $102,500. XRP dropped below $2, I believe, last night. And right now, as of recording, it's back up to $2.73. So crypto's getting some wind back in its sails. Again, if people panicked out and sold, that's what the strong hands love to see, right? When weak hands panic and sell. It's the same thing with gold and silver, guys. When the gold and silver markets drop, people run and panic and sell. Yet when the silver and gold are hitting all-time highs and we're having a huge green day, people run in to buy the stuff. So it's a bit counterintuitive. Hopefully, if you're crypto people, you didn't panic and throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. So let me address an article I saw. Oh, by the way, the 10-year, pretty consistent. I saw it down about 4 basis points earlier, hung right around that 4.5 level. The dollar is up over 109 again on the U.S. dollar index, and that has to do with tariffs obviously operating to strengthen the U.S. dollar. So the article I saw this morning early is entitled "The Secret Tariff Code is Buried in Section 2, Item H of the Executive Order." And you guys will see why I put the little Timu thumbnail in today's video, a thumbnail title, because this all ties in. And it's very interesting to see. I had no idea, again, love to get your input, how China is likely getting a lot of this, controlled substance, illegal substances, let's say components for fentanyl, etc., into this country. And it says almost everyone will miss in part because outcomes appear in a sequence that few care to follow. But buried in the Trump tariff executive order, and by the way, this author is Sundance, the conservative treehouse.com. Again, out of Zero Hedge this morning, giving credit for the article. It says Section 2, subsection H, says all articles that are products of, and this dealt with the Canada order. Again, it applied similarly to Mexico and to China. Products of, say China, as defined by their Federal Register notice described in subsection E of this section. The Federal Register notice, except for those products described in subsection B, shall be consistent with the law, subject to an additional 25% ad valorem rate of duty. Says such rate shall apply with respect to goods entered for consumption or withdrawn from warehouse for consumption on or after 12:01 Eastern Time on February 4th. Now, we know this order has been delayed relative to Mexico and relative to Canada, but it remains in effect as to a 10% tariff as to China going into effect tomorrow, okay, February 4th. There is a subsection H to this executive order that says, here's the crux, so listen to this, for avoidance of doubt, duty-free de minimis treatment under 19 U.S.C., that's United States Code, Section 1321, shall not be available for the articles described in subsection A and subsection B of this section. So the article queries, Canada and Mexico get hit 25% tariffs, but China only 10%. Why? The secret is in subsection H when it talks about de minimis treatment. And again, I had never heard this before, so I thought it was very, very interesting. It's something we all should be knowledgeable about. Trump's executive order directed levies on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. Specify that the de minimis exemption for small packages no longer applies. Under the exemption, products below that dollar amount are able to enter the U.S. without tariffs. So that's a boon for China's e-commerce retailers who ship often cheaper wares directly to consumers in the United States, and we know that, right? Regardless, the impact of the change threatens to fall most squarely on China, affecting retailers including Alibaba, JD.com Inc., PDD Holding Inc., Temu, and fashion-focused Shein. American shoppers and companies imported about $48 billion worth of shipments from the world under that loophole in the first 9 months of last year, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection estimates. Approximately 1 billion packages, it says, are estimated to enter the United States under the cover of the de minimis exemption. This is where the enforcement mechanism of the, quote, External Revenue Service, end quote, combines with the tariff approach and the state of emergency, okay? It says now the 1 billion packages, mostly from China, Mexico, and Canada, are going to be subject to review and interception. Congress in 2015, it says, raised the de minimis threshold from $200 to $800. However, the e-commerce world exploded and Chinese companies began using the de minimis loophole to ship cheap goods into the United States direct to consumers without paying any customs duty. It was reported last year the United States was on track to receive 1 billion packages through the de minimis loophole that aren't taxed and don't have customs slips saying what they are. That's the key. Making matters worse, it says illegal items are slipping through the cracks, including knockoffs, unsafe items, and chemicals used to make fentanyl. The worst abuser that exploits this de minimis loophole is by far China. Okay, now it says President Trump can require a customs and duty declaration stating what is in every package and subsequently collect tariffs and duties. And more importantly, if it's something that's inappropriate, illegal, i.e. drugs, they can be potentially flagged and stopped, okay, from getting into and flooding the United States. So applauds on this. Let's see how it plays out with China in the coming days. I could be wrong on this, guys, but it seems to me that it's going to be a much tougher fight with China. We shall see. Let's see what unfolds with the markets in the coming days. Briefly, the fentanyl story. I had a case a couple of years ago, represented a young gentleman who had gotten involved with doing some illegal stuff. It was a civil case for wrongful death that was later brought because he had given this young girl potentially some drugs that he did not believe were fentanyl. They were fentanyl. And basically, she took these, and young girl, she died. Parents were on a major crusade. It was all over the news. I won't go into names of the families and such, but very, very, very tragic story. And needless to say, it did not end well on the criminal side for this young man or the civil side. So, you know, the fentanyl, if you have children, especially like I do, high school age children, it is very, very scary how potent this stuff is. I'll leave it there today. Went a little bit long. I just thought that was extremely insightful. And again, love to hear your thoughts and comments. And again, appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.